Sasha Grey on the show. Voicemails, of course. It is a Thursday, though, so we're going to be doing a little Am I the Asshole? And I've got one that is already making some waves because I did a social media video with one of our new interns, Alyssa. She runs a Instagram account called Rent Free, where she's talking about anything and everything from relationships to partying, where her tagline is that just strangers living rent-free in my DMs while I live rent-free in their heads. So she makes videos answering questions and talking shit in the DMs or whatever. And so I figured it's Am I the Asshole Thursday. I would go to her with one that we are going to do on the show. And it's already making some waves. I already got a couple calls about it on CCK. So I'm interested to hear what Fights has to think, what Fights has to say. And it kind of goes into everything we've been kind of dancing around. And I said on the radio one day, we're going to write a book or do a podcast or a series on, like the reputation and expectations of men and the double standard and all that kind of shit, And here, I think this one goes pretty hand in hand with all that. Let me pull it up. Am I the asshole? Because I think that guys often are like not really. There's not many like hobbies or things that guys are really allowed to do outside of like golf. You know what I mean? So this is I
have no hobbies.
I know. We'll talk about it because that's a problem.
I have no adult friends.
I know.
I got
nothing.
I got
nothing.
I have adult coworkers who I'm friendly with. I have one friend I do a show with. Aside from that, I have not made a friend or even been in a position to make a friend outside of a bartender
in like a decade.
In over a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave
majority of your life at this point.
I gave up making friends after high school.
Right.
I didn't even try in college.
As you probably should, or that's what's normal. No, maybe that's not what we should be doing, but that is what's normal, I feel like now.
No, because people have like a really. I think people go to college and still stay tight with their college friends. I bowed out of friendship.
I do feel like
earlier.
I think most people gravitate towards their high school friends or their college friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that post college is like, a bartender. I feel like you still always meet, like anybody that I met after college, I still met through a college friend. Like my post college friends are my college friends' high school friends. So I didn't meet them in high school. I didn't meet them in college, but I still met them because of college.
Right.
I
don't have anyone like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually like the majority of my friends at this point. I have a couple like really good friends from high school who I don't see often, but if we were to hang out, we'd fall right back into it. But mostly my crew is my freshman year roommate. He stayed tight with all his high school friends, and I met all them. So in my mind, those are like, I met you guys when I was like 24, but they're still really just all from someone's childhood.
I kind of wanted to do like a video series called Wanted Adult Friends, where I go do like hobby things, but then you got to get everyone to agree to be on camera.
Yeah, we talked about Better Than the Bar. Or right?
Yeah.
Or the bar's better. Yeah. Whereas like we go try things, then we go, let's just go to the bar. The bar's better. But that's how you would like meet friends or find a hobby. Now this guy, it's weird. It's weird. Am I the asshole for making my boyfriend get rid of his toy collection? My boyfriend has always called himself a kid at heart. He collects toys from quite a few series: wrestling, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Men, anime, all that. We are in our 20s. I wish he specified more because I think like 20 is very different than like 29, but in our 20s. They are not for collecting purposes. They're all out of the box, and he plays with them. Whenever he thinks I'm asleep, I can hear him mimicking the voices of the characters or doing commentary, and I'll peek in the room and I'll see him actually playing with them. That's another thing. It's a small apartment, and he's got a whole room just for them and a whole dresser full of parts and cards, their guns and their weapons and such. But they're confined to that room, nowhere else in the house, in the apartment. When he gets home from work, it's one of the first things he does, plays with the toys. We get packages from eBay or Amazon almost twice a week, but he still makes time for me. I thought it was cute and endearing at first, but we've got a baby on the way, and my friends are all laughing at me. Sounds like you're dating a 12-year-old, they say. With the baby, I want to use that room for something like a nursery. I politely asked him for how he feels about getting rid of them. He said no. I said something about giving them to charity. He said no again. I brought up that we could use the extra money if we sold them. He denied it. I asked about the baby, but he said we'll just budget it out like we always do. How he'll spend less money on figures, but selling his collection is out of the question. I told him that we could make it. I told him that they could make some other kid, a less fortunate kid, happy. Says no. The teasing from my friends has continued. They all say that he should grow up. Word got around to his father. I showed the dad pictures of the toy rooms, and he was shocked. He got mad and said we're stopping it right now, that he wanted him to grow up. This morning when my boyfriend was sleeping, His dad came over, grabbed a big trash bag, and started just grabbing handfuls, putting them inside. When he was almost done, I told my boyfriend what was going on and that it was for his own good. He ran out, saw the room was empty, saw his dad with 2 big trash bags, leaving with them. He tried to grab the bag and was begging, and his dad said, "It's time to grow up." He started crying and sat down. He was yelling at us, "Those are he was yelling at us, "Those are all that I do." That's all that he does, even though he had me. Dad agreed with me. "You got your lady and you got a kid on the way. You don't need this shit." He was sobbing. His dad put him in the car and left. He said he's tossing them in the trash. I told my boyfriend, "Sorry, but it had to be done. Think about the baby." Then he yelled at me about how could he throw away the stuff I collect. He didn't actually throw them out. It was just a bluff. He went to donate to a thrift store, but either way, he doesn't have them anymore. Was this truly wrong of me?
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
100% that's wrong of you.
So rude. Borderline, like, evil.
Yeah. It's like the only thing this guy likes in life, and it's his one hobby. You can't lose your dinosaur, and I think everyone does eventually lose it. But if you're one of the few people who can hang on to it, fucking keep that shit, dude. Like, what are we gonna do with this room when the baby comes? I don't know. The baby can be a room full of fucking toys.
It's not like you had a porn collection and they had a porn room and the baby wouldn't be allowed around it. You could play toys with your kid.
And don't get me wrong, it's a little odd.
It's for sure weird.
To
for sure.
Collecting is one thing, and just like Jeff Lowe, Robbie Fox, they kind of have those. I don't believe that they like play and do voices. Mm-hmm. It's a little different. Mm-hmm. But guess what? That keeps his imagination running.
And not to mention, she said he keeps it all in the one room. He keeps it all in the dresser. It
still makes time for me.
And the dad walked away with 2 garbage bags, which is probably a lot of toys. But I was picturing like, thousands of toys. Yeah. He's got a couple bags of toys that he plays with. He waits till you go to sleep. He doesn't bother you with it.
Yeah, that's some real fucking Seinfeld shit. Remember when they with that episode that it's like really weird now where they drug the girl?
Yeah,
so they can play with her toys.
Yeah. She's passed out with like tryptophan and Benadryl and shit. And like, but like, I'll tell you what bothers me the most. Did you notice anything that jumped out multiple times in this description? I think 2 or 3 times she said her friends are teasing her. And that's what this is about. It's not about the baby. It's not about money. It's you don't like what your boyfriend's hobby is. Other people found out about it, and you're embarrassed.
Like you don't.
That's all this is.
Like I hate to tell you, I think you don't like your boyfriend.
Right.
You don't like one of the core parts of who he is as a person.
He's a creative, imaginative, playful. Like again, a little bit weird that he's like still into kid shit, but that's who he is. And especially nowadays with comic books and Avengers and figurines and all that kind of shit. Twitch and video games, like nerd culture it's their time to live. It's their time to shine. And you're just, he's fucking like sobbing over it. And he said to you, "It's the only thing I like." That's really all that matters. Your opinion about the toys, I do think it's weird. I would make fun of you if I found out you were like, pew, 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 like, "Oh, Dr. Evil has got me." Like if you were doing weird shit like that, strange. But if someone was just like, "This is the only thing I do," and he knows it's weird because he waits till people goes to sleep. He hides it. Mm-hmm. He knows that he's got a little bit of like a taboo, stigmatized type of thing. And he does his best to like hide it while being like, "This is the only thing that makes me happy." And you're just, and by the way, I am guaranteeing you that the reason why he is into this childish shit and all that is because he has the type of father who comes by and like stomps on his dreams and throws his shit out and says, "Grow up."
Well, I was going to say, at least he got this many years with it because I lost him at 6. That's
yeah. You know what? You either got to nip this in the bud before someone like is that attached, or you got to let it go.
At 6 years old, I was in love with Barbie dolls and the New York Rangers. Both of those things not allowed. 12 years old, I fell in love with women. Started hanging up Sports Illustrated pictures all over the place. Not allowed.
I mean,
you got Bruins posters, and that's it. Deal with the kid.
I mean, it's true though. It's like once it's like 20 something, it's like. That is a big part of, his happiness. And really, it's not about, I have breaking news for you. You want more room for your baby? You're going to move out of your apartment. It's not that you need this extra nursery space. You probably already don't live in a
Why you need more room for a baby? You got a crib, right?
Right.
Where the fuck's the baby going?
And again, what are you going to put in there?
Toys.
So fuck off with this idea.
He's probably, if he had half a brain, he's going to fall in love with baby toys. I'm just like, I'll play
Start
with these.
playing with that.
I'll play with these fucking baby toys.
Now, I mean, this goes into a bigger discussion of like if you did this to a girl, whatever the equivalent is, if a girls get into I said on CCK, like they get into like tchotchkes and decorating the house with things and all that. And if you were just like, throw this in the garbage, like fuck this, you would be like an abusive boyfriend. You would be crazy. If you threw out their shoes, their bag, their clothes, if they had any sort of toys.
What's the thing now? The fucking, like, not diamonds, but what are they? Rubies? Rhinestone? I don't know. One of those,
those are all things.
Like spiritual, like fucking.
Like chakra crystals.
Crystals,
like
there it is. Crystals.
Whatever crazy shit girls are coming up with next, guys would probably sit around being like, "Oh my god, it's so crazy that she like does that shit. She's like lighting incense and all that." But if you bagged it up and threw it out, and you were like, "My friends are making fun," I mean, you would be shamed till kingdom come. I mean, it's like the double standard there is fucking crazy. And I think what I've learned, I remember, the question we've been asking a lot recently, if you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing, I would say take up golf, because it's the one thing that just gets this hall pass. And I guess kind of fishing is involved. It's like girls will let their boyfriends or husbands, you can golf every weekend. You can go away on trips for extended periods of time. And
I don't think that comes as free as you think.
I mean, from my personal experience, I know I'm like the guy who doesn't golf in my group, and that my friends all go on like these golf trips with like 10 or 12 of them, and all the,
why don't you
all
just
the
go?
wives. I mean, I've thought about it, but they all they're pretty like into golf, and I just don't want to be like, I mean, I'm so bad at golf that I wouldn't be like even enjoyable for me to be out there and like suck that much. But they all go and the same wives that'll be like, if we're ever out at the bar, everyone's like, all right, I gotta get home, like, clock's ticking. But if it's like golf, they're just like, see you on like Thursday, see you next week, whatever. And it's some sort of like free pass. I think we were trying to narrow down why. And at first I was thinking, if you've been golfing for a long time, I'm trying to get better, or I want my handicap to be down to this, or whatever it may be. It's exercise, whatever thing. I think it's that there just aren't typically chicks around. And I think that's why girls are okay with it.
Well, there aren't typically chicks around fucking toy stores either.
Well, yes, but I'm saying in the realm of like, forget about the extreme of like toys and shit. But I always said, these guys can go out and for a round of golf for like 6 hours. You take care of the kids. You deal with this. I'm going out, and they're like, okay, fine. If they were to just say, we're going to the bar for 6 hours, you'd be like, no, you're fucking not. And like, I'm trying to figure out what the main differentiator is, because you're still drinking, you're still hanging out, you're not doing anything. But I just don't think there's any threat of,
I would
or
guess
girls
that
or anything.
You can at least kind of spin golf as work. Even if it's not work that day, it's like, I don't know, there's just a stigma that like deals get closed.
Oh,
in the
work.
Yeah.
Like it's a valuable skill to have.
Yeah.
Well, that's why those are all the things that like I'd go back in time and say, learn how to golf and keep hammering how important it is for the modern world. And hey, you want that, I got that big bonus because of golf. You want that nice house? I got a golf, all that shit. And just convince them. Because guess what? Those are all lies. Those are all
I was going to say,
spin
especially
zones.
in this profession, I don't think there's much business that's closed on a golf course.
None.
I don't think anyone here, aside from the 4-point guys, I don't think anyone here is really a big golfer. Caleb's
going to become one. That's really about it. Yeah,
like
nobody else. Dave won the U.S. Open.
Rarely.
So. But I think you can kind of get away with it with golfing as well. Casey mentioned camping, maybe in certain places. I don't know. That's not really as popular around here. But there's just a handful of things that kind of get the hall pass. Skiing? Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, my dad doesn't golf. He does a lot of ski trips.
I think that often the difference with all those is that usually girls don't get involved. I think a lot of times a girl will be like, I'll come on the ski weekend with you. I want to ski too. I don't think it's very rare that a girl will be like, I'm going to come golfing with you.
Yeah.
You show up to the course with,
but like,
with
there's
your
also,
girl and,
if you're going for like a little weekend trip, but like a guy's ski trip, those are accepted too.
Right.
Where it's like just the boys are going.
It's and if you're outside of those handful of things, you're the weirdo. If you like golf, if you like video games, if you like these figurines, I can't even think of other hobbies because like that's how bad it's gotten. Where it's
I'm coming around. I think guys can have a sports. I think like sports you can go. No one, and I'm only speaking for like the relationships I'm involved in, which is mine and my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the game tonight.
Oh, going to a sporting event. Yeah. That's. I just think that I think if you were to do that as frequent as you did as you went golfing, I think if you have season tickets, that's a great one too.
Yeah.
Like people who are like, my grandfather had tickets and my mother had tickets. It's like, it's a family tradition. We have to keep going, especially with football. I think the family life is inclined to be like Sundays, you go to the game and like, that's it. I think if you were to, like during the summer, if you went to like a baseball game every weekend, the same way you do golf, I think you would probably catch some flack.
I don't know. Again,
I really do think it matters if it's season tickets. If you just kept like buying tickets, but if it was like, this is an investment we make and then we go every year, I don't think I don't think a wife or a spouse would like fuck with that. I think if you're just consistently like out of nowhere, they're like, we're going to the game tonight. We're going to the game tonight. Like unexpectedly, I bet you would get not as much guff, but you would get some guff.
I don't think he has season tickets anymore, but one of the most impressive feats I've seen in Boston sports history was Dennis Drinkwater for like a 10-year span. Went to more or less every Red Sox game.
Every event.
That would be inconvenient if you lived in Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Like, let alone if you live like in the suburbs and like you
get into the
nice
city.
house.
And
like that's a fucking pain in the ass if you live in that seat.
Right.
to just be sitting there every night for 4 hours.
I got introduced to him through like you guys and Barstool. The home run thing is like, it's the funniest, quirkiest sport super fan thing I've ever seen. Just up and gone.
Does not watch the ball land.
Has he ever been wrong?
I'm sure he's been wrong. I can't remember.
Like I would
love
love that if he's like up the stairs and someone makes like a diving catch. It's like, nope, get on back down.
Also doesn't flinch for foul balls back. Like
that's what it is. That's what I mean. Like that's not human.
No.
That makes me think he's just like old and blind. Like he's not like a iron nerves of steel. He's just like, I didn't see that ball. It's crazy.
That's a good point, actually.
It's crazy. But listen, overall, girls, and this, like I said, this is all part of a bigger discussion of like the modern adult man who's really trying his best. Like we're talking about like, if you're a good person, if you're just like a scumbag, whatever. But like the modern adult man is trying to be good to you and understand you and learn how to be more emotional and more in tune with his mental health and all that shit. While also every now and then you still get hit with the like be a man up card. Where it's like, I gotta do both. I thought we were equal. Now all of a sudden I gotta go back to being like the caveman. Like I gotta run the house. It's fucking hard. It's really hard, especially when most of you, you've been like programmed to be like, what do I do? It's like I drink and I fuck and I do, you know what I mean? So when you do find something that's like, I play with these figurines, or I fucking, I do like chaps, like I do like woodwork shit in the garage or whatever. Like, just let me do it. I mean that I think at one point there's a quote in there being like. He says, like, this is what I do to make me happy. Casey on the radio said, like, a word of advice for girls. And she had to, like, preach this to people. Just let your man do what makes him happy. Yeah! Yeah! Do that. Like, that should not be, like, oh, pat yourself on the back. I let my man have happiness.
Right.
I let him have a hobby. I let him do things that bring him joy. That should just be the way.
If you don't like what makes your guy happy,
you don't like him.
You don't like him.
You don't like him.
And that's okay too. But
then you just shouldn't be together.
But don't be like, you're a piece of shit because this makes you happy. It's toys.
Right.
We're talking about toys.
If his thing that
like
brought him happy was
fucking
drugs
prostitutes.
and guns, then I can understand it. This harms nobody. All this harms is your fucking ego. Because when you meet up with the girls, they say, how's your fucking little baby boyfriend playing with his toys? And
Which is fair.
And if that's a problem, then you should not be with him.
Like that's funny ball busting. Like it's fair to bust someone's balls.
For sure.
It's not fair to steal their toys.
No. And really you should either be like, fuck you guys, like he's awesome. Or and maybe he should dump her. Maybe he should be like, I need to go find someone who's like in this culture. I've seen a lot of Am I the Assholes where there's other disputes, but they say like, we're both into video games. We're both into like, things that maybe stereotypically girls wouldn't be into. But you find a group and a crew that wouldn't shame you for that. They'd be like, oh, I have the same figurines. Mm-hmm. Let's fucking play together. I don't know. It's weird, but it's just, if you were to do the same thing to a girl, if you were to throw out clothes of hers that you don't like.
If you were to force her to stop listening to murder podcasts. because that's what every girl does in the whole world now.
Heavens to Betsy. You just said that. I just got a chill down my spine. What they would do to you.
Like,
you would be branded an abusive boyfriend if you said, enough with the goddamn true crime murder podcast. This is weird. It's embarrassing. You don't get to listen to him anymore. You'd be like, well, now there's going to be a murder in our house.
I forget what show I said it on. It might have been CCK, it might have been this show. But like that recently happened with I was with 4 girls. And it was like just like guys meeting up. I finally got it. I got why girls hated talking about like sports. It was like, and again, we're being very stereotypical here.
Of course.
Not all
always general
women.
Come on.
But it was
the 4 of them, the gaggle of girls talking about murder and the crimes and the stories you didn't know, and you just sat there. Right?
I was just like, all right, I am not interested in this.
It's like when
all.
someone's like,
it's
Mike Trout's the MVP. No, Miguel Cabrera is. It's like, yeah, they don't care the same way you don't care about that missing case from 2010.
No, not even a little bit. And it's gone a little too far. I'll say it. I think
the murder podcast has gone too far.
I just think it's so weird. I think the obsession with murder podcasts
very weird.
Is bizarre.
Yep.
And it's not even just murder podcasts. It's just murder stories. Like all I want to do. All like we go out for drinks. Like it's like, oh, have you seen this new documentary, this new true crime? Like I don't know, man. I'm just tired of hearing about sad stories.
Yeah, well, that's what's also so weird about when the girls like it, because it's inevitably like the girl gets raped and killed, and it's like you of all people should be like, I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to know.
I guess
it's got to be
why...
some morbid, dark like. I mean, maybe you should like be aware of these things. That's a good thing, but to be like into it is like, what the fuck?
I think that's why it's real weird if guys are into it. Because,
because
you're, I guess, quote unquote, winning in the podcast. You might get caught, but like you're not dead.
Yeah.
So you're theoretically coming out on top.
Right.
And if you were like, yeah, I love this guy, that's a problem.
Very
but
strange.
they're like,
can't root for the bad guy in the true crime.
You can't.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Jackie, are you there? What are your thoughts on everything we just said? You're a little bit younger, but like, I mean, I do think that the true crime thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do feel like it's something you get into when you're like commuting to work and all that kind of shit. If you're still kind of in college and like partying and socializing, maybe it's not quite there. But like, what would you throw out? Would you like stop your boyfriend from dressing a certain way or acting or doing a certain hobby or whatever?
I mean, this guy seems like he has This guy seems like he has other issues, like the whole crying part, the whole dealing with it wasn't great. That kind of says more about him. But if it's a hobby, like poor guy, that's what he would love. So I do feel bad for that.
I know exactly what you're saying, but do you even see how that's unfair? Be like, this guy was crying. He's got fucking problems. If a girl starts crying about something, it's like, well, I gotta console my girlfriend. She's crying again. If a guy starts crying about something, people are like, he must be fucking crazy.
It is a little.
That's a good point.
Not fair.
It's not fair, but also to just like sit on the ground and pout.
Totally weird.
Is bizarre.
Totally weird. And
like,
that's. But
like,
if
cry to your father too.
Yeah.
Like I can't. I don't know last time I cried to my dad.
But this is the problem. These are the problems. I agree with you, and it's all correct. But it's like, I mean, if a guy cried with the same frequency, again, stereotypically speaking, that a girl does, I think the girlfriend and other people would be like, get it together, dude. I mean, when a girl just will like cry about her day at work, it's like, that just happens. If a guy does that, it's like, you need professional help. Like, what? It's double standard, Jackie. It's not fair.
Okay. That's a good point. It's a good point. The whole talking in sleep thing, though, and like the figurines thing.
I mean, if you sneak out, if he sneaks out while you're sleeping to play with toys, it's because he's like, she won't let me.
Okay.
But don't get me wrong. It's weird. I mean, it would.
As for the true crime podcast thing, I mean, I'll admit I listen to true crime podcasts, but like, they're also objectively good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's interesting to everybody.
It is, but like,
I don't find it interesting.
No,
I don't. I try and shield myself from sad stories.
Yeah.
I just don't look at them because they make me sad.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean,
if you were to watch something that had the same production value, the same script writing, or whatever type you watch, but it was about like interesting business cases or something, you wouldn't care.
We were talking about it on like crime movies on when I did the High Haters the other week, and I was like, I don't have any crime movies.
Like movies that you watch because you know you're gonna cry.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Don't get me wrong. I'll cry during a fucking movie, but I'm not like, oh, this is my favorite movie to put on and cry to.
I think that's weird too. I do believe that there are. I think after you cry, you like I feel better. Like I got all that shit out. So maybe there's like I guess if it ever got to the point where it's like, all right, I got shit to do, so I got to get my cry out right now. let me turn on fucking Only the Brave with Miles Teller and I'll just weep.
Yeah, that was one that came up.
But I wouldn't do that to myself. I feel like more typically girls will do that where it's like, let me put on Taylor Swift and sit here and have a good cry. And it's like, I think that's fucking insane.
Cons had a whole list.
Yeah. That he puts on to cry.
He had a lot. I don't know if it was all like he didn't come with a list prepared.
Yeah.
But Cons was rattling them off. Yeah. He had a lot of cry.
Well, crybaby bitch boy. You think you're tough because you went to fucking war? Give me a break. Fucking pussy.